Josh Green here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by rising light heavyweight Mr. Conor Wallace. How you doing today, Conor?
Yeah, I'm really good. Another big day of training in the bank. So I'm looking forward to getting into my bed tonight. It's nighttime over here. So um obviously thank you very much for having me on. But
Yeah,
it's been a big day at the gym. So
absolute pleasure. I guess they're all big days at the gym now. Just 3 weeks or so until you're back out in the ring. How do you sort of feel going when you've got that date and you're in the gym? Is it real anticipation going into another big fight in your career?
that's what I love, you know what I mean? Obviously I train to fight, so it's great having like a goal and having something to work towards. I just feel like it changes the whole intensity of my training and everything. And you know yourself, like when you've got that um it's like seeing the finish line, you know, you've got that goal in mind, or you've got that something that you're working towards as opposed to training, and like you just sort of be half gone through the motions as such, you know.
Mm. Have there been sort of moments of frustration when the dates haven't been there and you've been waiting for the fights to sort of materialize and now you've finally got there? Maybe that's a bit more out the way.
Oh yeah, yes and no, sort of, but this will be my fourth fight within 12 months, which I think is good. Like being at the level I'm at as well, you know. Obviously I was very busy in my first year as a pro, and then COVID came along, which was very frustrating. Then I had a couple of hand injuries and stuff. I didn't have the best run, but since I've had the hand surgeries and been able to get active, you know, I've been so active I had been so active as an amateur. I was so used to that, and I feel I perform better being active. So this is my fourth big fight in 12 months. So looking forward to the 11th of December and getting back in there again.
You talk a little bit there about how active you were as an amateur. How long do you think it actually takes for you to get used to what life is like as a pro fighting every few months rather than, every weekend when you're an amateur?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it definitely. I think it's more so the biggest thing is adapting that sort of pro style as such, you know? Like it's definitely two different sports. Like, and I didn't believe that until I actually started boxing, boxing over the longer rounds and stuff. You know, you can sparring's different to fighting, obviously. You can do all the sparring you want, but there's nothing like getting in there under them bright lights and stuff. And like my manager, Stephen Deller, he told me when I first came, he goes, no matter what we teach you, and like um you're still gonna box like an amateur and stuff in your first sort of fight, because you always you'll revert back to what you know as such.
Yeah. Away
So
from.
um like it took me I'd say two years or just 2.5 years really to start boxing like a proper like as a pro. Like if I look back now, me when I first came to Australia, and then like 6 years, like obviously that was 6 years ago or just over 6 years ago, and watched me training or fighting, it's a difference in night and day, you know.
Have you actually watched back any of those early like sparring sessions or early fights?
Yeah, I actually have, like pretty recently as well, and we're actually just having a laugh about it the other day with my strength and conditioning coach. So I've always been light heavyweight. I debuted at light heavyweight, but if you even just look at my body, like my body shape and composition, from then until I looked like a welterweight when I first started.
Not impressed at all then.
Nah, but I was still struggling nearly to make the weight as such, you know. But you just adapt and get bigger, and bigger for the weight, and you just start doing everything a lot better and learn these things, and obviously with the science and the dietitians and stuff, and it's unbelievable what the body can do, you know.
Absolutely. Since we've last spoke, there's also been some big news sort of away from the ring with yourself, obviously linking up with Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn. Obviously, you work with Tasman Fighters and Mick Francis already. Just talk to me about the impact that that could have, and you hope will have on your career.
Yeah, I think Tasman Fighters is going to be working alongside like Matchroom and Gold Star and stuff, and like it's unbelievable because they're the ones putting on the big fights, I believe, and being over there in Saudi Arabia for the Bivol and Better Bev and fighting stuff. It was massive to be there and witness that, and it makes me hungry to want to be there as such, you know. So, but obviously this fight on the 11th of December is my full focus. I'll never overlook any opponent, you know. Um, it's going to be a big fight and headline again, live in the zone, and privileged to be given the opportunity by Tasman fighters. So that is my full focus at the moment. I never like to overlook anyone. You know, it's yourself. It's a fight game, and anything can happen. But I'm looking forward to bringing the best version of Conor Wallace on the 11th of December.
Absolutely. I know Eddie's already had some pretty complimentary things to say about you. We know the level that he's worked at for so many years now and is still working out, and he's got plenty of light heavyweights in his stable already for you to go at once you get through the fight in a few weeks' time. Look, do you see it as a deal that could present more opportunities further down the line once you've looked after this next fight?
Yeah, definitely. You know, they seem to be putting on the biggest fights and stuff, and Eddie runs some great shows, and that's what you're in the sport for. It's for them big nights and big fights. You know, I've dedicated my whole life to the sport, and I'm looking forward to them big fights. But full focus is on December 11th first, and then we'll look at what's going on for the new year.
Yeah. You're obviously based over in Oz now. You say you've been there six and a bit years now. Is that where the long-term future of your career is, or do you feel like it may have to evolve to be a more worldwide career, possibly back here over in the UK, and possibly even over in Saudi?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we'll travel to where the big fights are, and that's what we want. We want the big fights. So, obviously in terms of my training and stuff, I love it here. I love the facilities that I've got at Fortitude Boxing and the gym and everyone in the gym. And obviously, if we had a big fight, we might travel for a bit of sparring or bring sparring partners in as such, tailored to the person that we were fighting. But yeah, I'm very happy with where I am at the moment and got a great team around me. In terms of my trainers, Greg Eady, strength and conditioning coach Phil, and Fortitude Boxing, and obviously my promotional team, Tasman Fighters. So, like the main thing, I've got the best team around me. So, the main thing is for me to put the work in and keep showing up every day at the gym and keep trying to improve and work on my craft.
You mentioned that you were ringside for Bivol Beterbiev. What do you make of the event as a whole, and does it make you hungry to be up on that stage yourself?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, I think obviously getting there and being there live, it really made me hungry and really made me want to be there. And I think it was unbelievable for me to be there as well. And obviously, people would have seen me in the rankings and stuff. And, you know, but to actually put a name to the face or face to the name as such, I think it was great for myself and my career. And to be there and you know, to be shaking hands and getting in front of them. And obviously, I did heaps of media and stuff when I was there. So like it was unreal as a whole for my career, I believe, and obviously to get to that next step, that's where I want to be, and that's where I need to be.
When you get to those moments where you're in those huge fights, whether it be out in Saudi or world title eliminators, world title fights, do you think you can look back on occasions like that where even though you weren't in the ring, you were under the spotlight, you've seen how the best in the division, the best in the world deal with it, and you can take bits and pieces from that into your own thought process?
Oh, definitely, definitely. You know, like even being I was at the back with Jay and stuff whenever he was warming up and in the pads and all the other fighters were around. I was buzzing. You know, I did would have loved to jump in the ring myself, but that's what we are. Like, you know, we're fighters, and if you don't like that, there's something wrong with you, I believe. You know, and like this thing, me, I was bouncing off one foot onto another out the back. I was getting it. You know, I love fighting, or else I wouldn't be in the sport. So definitely made me hungry. We did plenty of training stuff when we were in Saudi Arabia as well. So and blow off a bit of steam. So now it was unreal, and definitely I was looking forward to getting back to Australia, to getting back into routine and back into camp. And obviously, we had it the 11th of December in the pipeline, and it was great to get it over the line and get it announced and to be headlining again live in the zone. What more would you want?
Absolutely. Another light heavyweight fight we saw on that undercard was Ben Whittaker and Liam Cameron. Did you ever face Ben in the amateurs?
Nah, I actually didn't because I was actually a middleweight in the amateurs,
Oh,
and then obviously he was light heavy, and then I turned pro, and he was sort of like the number one then at the time, because whenever I was in the amateurs as such, like Fowler was number one at middleweight, and Bouts was 81. So I never actually came across Ben Whittaker ever.
That's fair enough. I want to talk to you about, we talked a little bit about the deal with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and some of the names that he's got. Callum Smith's returning in a couple of weeks over here in the UK on a Birmingham card. He's someone who's obviously stepped up from super middle to light heavyweight. Look, is that down the line the sort of name and a fight that you can see happening yourself and Callum?
Yeah, possibly. I'm open to fighting anyone, or else I wouldn't be in the sport. So, like any of them big names, and I just want the big fights. And obviously, my main goal is to win a world title. And I think I'm in a perfect position at the moment, being ranked quite highly in most of the governing bodies, and number two, namely with the IBF. So that's the fight we're chasing. Um, Obviously, depending on what happens with Bivol and Beterbiev and the belts, if the belts become vacant, or if the rematch, or it's sort of up in the air what's going to happen, or it might be a bit delayed. Um, Maybe to fight the number one Michael Effort for maybe the vacant world title would be an option, but we're just waiting, playing it by ear and waiting to see. But my main thing is to keep winning, and I think if I keep winning, the big fights will come.
Yeah. If you could plot a perfect 2025, what would that look like in your head?
Yeah, obviously, hopefully get through the 11th of December with no problems, and then move on to a big year next year. A couple of big fights in terms of, but realistically, that were the most closest I am to a world title shot is the IBF. So, depending on what happens with Beterbiev and Bivol, if the rematch or whatever, I know the IBF are pretty strict on the mandatory, like, so the belt could be stripped and then it becomes vacant. So then naturally one fights two. And like there was talk of that was going to happen. And then they said about the rematch, and then the IBF said it was that's okay. They're going to let them have the rematch because they did call the mandatory as such.
Yeah. So
But
I guess in your mind, you'll be wanting Better BF to sort of not go ahead with the IFA mandatory, and you're just straight in there, aren't you?
yeah, that's, and I think that'll be a great fight as well. He's around the same record. I think he's 12-1 or 13-1, and I'm 14-1. So two young, hungry boys looking to make a name for themselves.
Absolutely. If a rematch between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev does go ahead, we do get that rematch. How would you see that playing out? And I asked this to a fighter earlier. Has your opinion changed of either fighter and how the fight would go after watching the first fight?
It's hard to know. You'd have to think that maybe Beterbiev would maybe perform a little bit better because he was so inactive before that. The long layoff might not have suited him well as such, but you never know. Again, there was a very, very close fight. I think it would be a matter of who turns up on the day or who performs better. If you perform, if you underperform, a lot can happen. We know it's a fight game, and that's why we all love it so much. But it would be very interesting, and I think a lot of people would tune in because the first fight was so close, and some people said it definitely wasn't a robbery because people were saying it was a robbery and stuff. It definitely wasn't a robbery because it's a close fight.
Absolutely.
Like either person had won it by a round or two either way. You couldn't have really argued, I believe. So
Yeah. Final bit of boxing talk I've got to get through with you is from the weekend, and Jake Paul against Mike Tyson. Look, it was a huge event. There's absolutely no denying that. Did you
hmm
watch, and what did you make of the whole thing?
yeah, I did watch it. Like the undercard and everything was unbelievable. There was some top class fights on the undercard. It's great to watch, and especially the last three fights. Like and even the Katie Taylor fight was unbelievable. I'm a massive Katie Taylor fan. It was an unbelievable fight. It should have been the main event, I believe. But um, it was sort of hard to watch the Tyson and Paul fight. But I think I think Jake Paul probably could have knocked him out at any time. But I'm sort of glad he didn't, and I think he gained a lot of respect for not actually knocking him out as such.
Yeah.
Because if he had knocked him out, it would have been an absolute disaster, and he would have copped a lot because we know Mike Tyson is a legend. And but again, Father Time gets everyone, doesn't it? And that's what we're looking at, obviously, with the light heavyweight division too. You know, the boys aren't getting any younger, so
It's
we
been it's been a case over the last couple of years where you've actually seen pro fighters and top pro fighters and in some cases world champions actually calling out Jake Paul. People like Myris Bradis, obviously he's looking
yeah.
for a Canelo fight. Like in your mind, how does that sort of line up with where boxing is at the moment?
Well, I think it's money talks, isn't it? I think they're all chasing the money, and like like him or hate him, he's a marketing genius, I believe Jake Paul is. So like, just look at the people that tune in. You know, if you like him or if you don't like him, you're still tuning in. So I think it's unbelievable what he's done for himself, and obviously what he's doing in the sport. You can't really knock him. You know, he's doing a good job of what he's doing. And he's winning most of the fights. He's only lost to Tommy Fury, I believe. So like, it is what it is. But I think against a proper legitimate boxer, like imagine him fighting Jai Opetaia or Bradis or Beterbiev. Imagine him fighting someone like that. Like they're pound for pound kings nearly, you know.
Yeah.
So you maybe looking at someone that like a lot down the rankings, I believe, as opposed to some of them boys at the top of the ladder.
If you had that IBF strap, would you be tempted to give him a shot?
No problem. He can bring us millions, and I'd be more than happy to dance around him.
Dear. Just final one for you, and it's back to Mike Tyson. He's actually said that he does want to go out back in the ring again at 58 years of age. He's obviously got a huge legacy. I mean, what do you make of that?
Nah, I reckon he's safer off calling it a day. You know, he got out of that one pretty pretty healthy and unfazed as such. You know, he didn't get knocked out or cop too many big blows, but his legs just didn't look to be there or whatever. You know, he's an old man now. You know, just relax and enjoy. He got a good payday for that one. Relax and enjoy it with your family.
Couldn't agree.
He's nothing more to prove, I believe. You know.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Connor. Really appreciate the time. Best of luck on the 11th when it rolls around, and yeah, hope to see you in some big fights in 2025.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me on again, and look forward to seeing you. Hopefully, I'll be 15-1 the next time you see me.